You gonna sit down and talk politics at the Thanksgiving table? What are you, nuts? Bill Doherty, co-founder of Braver Angels of Minnesota. Bill, are you nuts if you sit down and talk politics at the Thanksgiving table? Come on.
You can't account for your relatives.
That's right.
Can we uninvite them, Bill? I mean, is that the only option?
No, you pay a big price for that. People don't forget that.
Before we get into some actual advice here, let's talk a little bit about Braver Angels of Minnesota. You are by trade, you're a family therapist. You're also a professor at the University of Minnesota. I'll have to have my son take one of your classes, sir.
Well, I'm retired now, but yes, I was there for 38 years. Yep. Excellent.
And you started Braver Angels, and you're running a Braver Angels family and politics workshop. Tell our listeners about Braver Angels.
Yeah, well, we started right after the 2016 presidential election nationally. Our first workshop was in Ohio. And what we're about is to try to bring people together across this very toxic political divide. And we say we don't try to change people's minds about policies or politicians, but change the mind about each other.
Okay, we're 9 years in. How's that going for you?
Well, what do you think? we're just mopping it up right now. It's mostly done. I hope to move on to bigger problems.
Okay, you solved it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that most people now know we have a big problem on our hands with our division. We started 9 years ago. A lot of people thought, hey, if their side won, that's good. It's all, well, what's happening now is that every 2 or 4 years, one side, gets 51%, the other 49%, and then everybody blocks each other.
I mean, Bill, you are doing the Lord's work. You really are trying with Braver Angels to bring us together. And that might be working in the community. I'm sure it's working in your workshops because there are people that are open to change. You're working with people who want to hear the message and who want to communicate with each other and maybe hear a different side. When you look at Congress, I mean, we're coming off the heels of this shutdown. They don't seem to be able to talk to each other. I mean, what advice would you have for Congress? Because right now we've just kicked the can down the road till December or January, where we're going to have another vote. So give some advice for our lawmakers, because they stream the show and they're all listening right now.
Of course. They follow me all the time as well, right? They call me every day. Well, the two things I'll say. One is if we over-focus on Washington, that's when we get into despair, because there's lots to be done locally and at the state level. But number two, there is something in Congress called the Problem Solvers Caucus, which is 25 Democrats, 25 Republicans. They meet every week to share a meal together and to try to figure out how to do more bipartisan work. So we have to support and reward the members of Congress who are trying to work together.
On a local level, because all politics is local, and I love that this is an effort by city council members and state lawmakers and county representatives. How do you translate that into how you deal in your day-to-day life? I think a lot of us, we reach a breaking point where we're just like, you know what? I'm just not going to talk to that person anymore. I'm going to block them. I'm going to mute them on social media. Is that the right thing to do, or what's your advice?
Yeah, this problem has entered everyday life, family life, work relationships, friendships. And there are ways to, and this is what we do in our Braver Angels workshop, there are ways to learn how to not surrender your beliefs, but to stop fighting and escalating with people. So we talk about it in our Families and Politics workshop. We talk about the prime directive, like Star Trek. Don't try to change a family member's mind about something that's important to them. Don't go into a conversation to enlighten the other person. It's going to backfire. But go into it to listen, to express your views, and to just have a sharing of opinions, but without trying to change somebody.
Another app for inventory, one for CRM. Oh, don't forget accounting. Wait, which login was that?
Or you could use Odoo, one fully integrated system that does it all without the hassle. It's the app overload. Get everything your business needs on one platform. Try Odoo free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com. Sports injuries test you, your mind, your body, and spirit. Others transform you, elevating you to a stronger, bolder version of yourself. At Summit Orthopedics, our experts are prepared for both, for every challenge, for every comeback, because you deserve nothing less than the best. Live life at your Summit with Summit Orthopedics. SummitOrtho.com. This is Abe Brusky, CEO of the Hair Restoration Institute of Minnesota. We're leading HRI. I served in the U.S. military. This Veterans Day, we're giving back. All veterans who schedule their hair restoration procedure with us in November will receive 10% off up to $1,000. It's our small way of saying thank you to those who have served. Learn more and schedule your free consultation by visiting HRIMN.com. And remember, you can't spell hair without HRI.
Okay, so you can share your thoughts, and then you just sort of have to end it with, but thank you for sharing. We'll agree to disagree. Is that how you, because eventually you want to stop the conversation. You don't want to keep going back and forth.
Usually what we find is if you listen carefully, there's something you can agree with. Now, let's say immigration, which maybe you completely disagree about ICE, right, and what ICE is doing. But you can agree we need to regulate our borders. Sure. You might agree that the kids who came here, not of their own volition, that they should get a break. I mean, there might be 5 or 6 things you actually agree on, rather than just focus on what you disagree on about ICE.
That's such a great point because, I think that's what we try to do here on the radio station, because we get texters and callers all the time who obviously disagree with us, try to find something that we do agree on. And, okay, that's step one. What is step two? Does that lead to change, or are we still just divided and, well, we might agree on one thing, but everything else we're never going to see the light of day? How does this continue to progress where we might see meaningful change in how we talk politics?
Well, in Braver Angels, we're doing a whole series of workshops in Minnesota, around the country, on immigration, where we're bringing together 8 Reds, 8 Blues who differ on this to see if they can find common ground. But we create a process where people listen to each other, and you start with values, and you start with concerns. You don't start with policy. And then you find out you have a lot more in common about values and concerns. And then you get into policy. And what we're finding is there's a lot of common ground in this country around immigration that doesn't show up when the politicians just sort of, create their own brand around it.
And also, and I guess, Adam, this is a question for you. And at Braver Angels, is that the goal? Is it change, or is it just civility? Is it the ability to have a conversation with someone who maybe you're never going to agree with, but you can still exist in the same space without, calling them a negative word or accusing them of ruining our country? I mean, is the goal change, or is it just civility?
The goal is to change our minds about each other, to get away from having contempt for each other, stereotyping each other. That's what it's about. And we think when that happens, people, they do find some things they could agree on. But if you see the other side not just as political opponents, but as enemies, and this is what the research is showing, is that people increasingly see those who disagree with them as morally evil. How do you work together in a country like that?
That these people are my enemies. They're no longer that we differ our views, but that person is an enemy.
That's
and
right.
Has ideas that will destroy this country.
Exactly, and that they want to. So take like school reform, educational issues. If I think that you are against teachers' unions because you want to destroy the educational opportunities for our children, or you're in bed with the unions and you don't care about children, what does that mean? What kind of person are you who doesn't care about children? Whereas the reality is that hardly anybody wakes up in the morning and says, how do I undermine the education of our children today? Right?
Yeah. Of course.
Right? Of course. And so what this is one of the main things I've learned, in my 9 years with Brave Angels, that we're closer together on core values and aspirations for our children, our community, for health, for education. We're a lot closer than we realize. Where we differ a lot, of course, is the means to get there, the policies. But what I had to learn to do was stop assuming that if you differ with me on a policy, you differ with me on fundamental values, fundamental goals.
We're talking to Bill Doherty, co-founder of the Braver Angels here in Minnesota. You got an event coming up on the 15th. Tell us about that. Is it specifically for heading into the holidays where you're going to be differing with those family members who have opposing views?
It's called Families and Politics. And people are interested 9 to noon in Eagan on Saturday morning. There's still places people can still enroll. They can go to Braver Angels Minnesota events. So Google Braver Angels Minnesota events, and I'll be leading the workshop. And we'll have some fun with it. You know, we talk about different roles of families, like the family gladiator. You know, the person who is there to set everybody straight.
That's Jordana, by the way.
I'm the peacemaker.
Well, then we have a peacemaker. Mm-hmm. We have a sniper. We have the person who just sort of sarcastically jabs at you. Yeah. So we have a little fun. We ask people to think about who in their family is difficult with them and what role they play. Then humility is a part of what we do in Brave Angels, because we ask people to say, when you're not at your best, which of these roles do you play? Okay. And then we have people do some practice, and so it's I think an enjoyable, and it's also about how to avoid getting into conversations that you don't want to have. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because you have to have the right to not engage, but to do it in a friendly, polite way. You know, you can say, hey, let's not go there today. Okay, we can talk about politics later.
And that's what someone asked. I just want to read a text question. Someone says, please ask him how to deal with people who disagree on facts.
Yeah, great question. So here's my answer to that. Policy relevant facts are about social trust. They're about who we trust. Most of us don't have direct access to facts about policy. So I don't need any expert to tell me I'm on a call with you now. But climate change, how many undocumented immigrants are criminals? These are based on experts and news sources that we trust. And so what we've learned in Braver Angels is to not get hung up on facts at the beginning of a conversation. Just try to develop a trusting relationship. Talk to each other. We have a little program, by the way, called Walk a Mile in My News, where people spend a month listening to each other's and watching each other's news sources, and then they come to understand how people get where they are.
Oh,
love
boy.
that.
Yes.
Love
I've tried that before.
Me too. And you get frustrated.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you come together and you have coffee with the person, and you say, gee, if I was seeing your sources, I agree with you.
Too.
And then maybe we could decide on some trustworthy third sources that we could both look at.
That's fair. That's a really good point. Bill, you're wonderful to talk to. I hope you'll come back on the show a lot. Thank you, sir.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bill.
And again, if you're interested in one of their events, they have one coming up on the 15th of Braver Angels of Minnesota. Go to braverangels.org and you can get the information about the event. Sign up the whole fam. Sign up the whole block.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful organization. And you can tell he's a family therapist because he's compassionate and he explains things that the way we can understand and very realistic.